Today's episode is such a fun one. I'm speaking with Goddess Brittney King. She is a pleasure priestess and is doing such amazing work to raise the frequency of feminine energy on the planet. In this incredible chat, we get into speaking about her soul awakening, where her body truly came alive and she had the opportunity to choose between life or death. Her experience in her first sacred temple, a pole dancing studio, Brittney's initiation into feeling her pleasure, taking this journey and welcoming being seen. The realization of how she was performing the act of sex and not actually enjoying herself for her own pleasure. How she started implementing her pleasure practices into everyday life. Slowing down to receive more pleasure. How Brittney came to leading her first international full body yes retreat, looking for awe and wonder in everyday life, Brittney's connection to her spirit baby and how I fit into the equation, and Brittney speaks to the magic of co-creating her wedding with her wife and spirit. This conversation, as I said, was so fun to record. I have never had so many full body chills in an interview than I did when speaking with Brittney. And the main takeaway and what Brittney kept reminding me of, and everyone who will be listening to this episode, is that this high frequency state of pleasure is available to all women. You just have to allow, accept, and choose it for yourself. Hello, Goddess Brittney. Thank you so much for being a part of this free birthing in color movement. I am very excited to speak to you today about the work that you do to raise the feminine collective.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be here.
So before we get into speaking about your work, I want to ask you what your ancestry and lineage is that you hold within your body.
Yes, within my body, I'm holding some chocolatey goodness. I am a Black woman from America, born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and my lineage hails from Texas and Louisiana.
Okay, amazing.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so when we first met, this was a couple months ago in March, we met at the Origins Gathering Women's Festival. And like your energy was infectious. You are just so bright, you're so vibrant. And then when I found out what workshops it was that you were doing, I wasn't surprised that you were working with pleasure, that this is what you're doing, because you can just see it. And when I was in person with you, you can just like feel that beauty, that positive energy, that high vibration coming off of you from, like miles away, I want to say. Like when I'm walking from the jungle path into the kitchen, it's like, oh, there's Brittney. She's shining this beautiful golden light, and just everything about you is just so high vibrational and just so much love and compassion coming from you. So I want to ask you the first question. I forget it because I wrote these recently. What
Yeah.
is the work that you do in the world for the Feminine Collective?
Yeah. So as you said, my name is Goddess Brittney King, and I am a pleasure priestess.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is I live in devotion to women connecting to their deepest pleasure. What is your truth? What is the thing that lights you up and turns you on?
Mm-hmm.
And I have found pleasure to be a really powerful teacher on this path of
Mm-hmm.
self-discovery, of connection to your feminine. And so, yeah, it's super juicy work that I never even thought was allowed to be done,
Mm-hmm.
let alone a career or a life path or anything like that. And I feel truly honored to be a light on this path, supporting women and connecting to their bodies, to their pleasure, to themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And it is so evident in you that pleasure is the way that you live your life. And so I'm so excited to get into what you do for pleasure, how you guide women in connecting to their own pleasure. But I want to ask you first, how did you even get into this work? Because it's not something that connecting to our pleasure is, of everyday normalcy. So how did you start on your pleasure journey and then bringing that to other women?
Yeah, so we'll wind it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I was living a completely different existence.
Mm-hmm.
I was so stuck in people pleasing,
Mm-hmm.
in living my life for other people. My body felt not safe to be in. I was maybe present from like my eyelids to the top of my head. That is where I lived. That was the only place that felt safe. And due to traumas when I was a kid, like it was just like, it's not okay for you to be in your body. It's not okay for you to be in pleasure. That's absolutely not for you. And what's safe is being smart. What's
Mm-hmm.
safe is being likable. What's safe is doing what other people want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this moment back in 20, I think it was 2018, 2017, 2017 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
2017, a time ago, I had this moment. I was disassociated and living or not living, and I ended up in a situation that was non-consensual with a man, and I felt this like spirit come to me. I felt
Mm-hmm.
I was outside of my body, and spirit came to me, and they were like, you can choose to keep going the way you're going,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to lead with death, or you can choose to live. Like
Mm-hmm.
the choice is yours, and you need to make it here in this moment.
Wow.
And it was a soul awakening of like, oh my God, I haven't been honoring myself. I haven't been present. I've been deceiving myself, and look at where it's gotten me. And that was
Mm-hmm.
one of my first memories of my body truly coming online.
Mm-hmm.
I felt moisture on my face, and I remember being confused. And I was like, how could it be raining in this room? Like, what is happening? Why is it wet? And I was like, oh, you're crying. Something's
Wow.
wrong. Your body is telling you something is wrong. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you choose to do about this? And I was able to extricate myself out of that situation. And I was like, wow, I got faced with an opportunity to choose life or death. And shortly after that, like within a few weeks, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh,
And it was a rare form of lung cancer that happens in like non-smoking women of color.
okay.
And so it was like, it was very confusing. And this is when I just started to feel this awakening, this opening.
Mm-hmm.
And I had not really had any expansive experiences before this, but I was sitting next to her, and her lungs started talking to me. And
Whoa.
I was like, what's happening? Her lungs started talking to me, and they were like, the time is now. Like, you have to choose joy. You have to choose to live. Like,
Mm.
what are you choosing? What are you choosing? So, those two moments right next to each other were truly like the rocket fuel I needed to help me to lean into the unknown, to lean
Mm-hmm.
into what do I want. And at the time, I had just gotten my quote unquote dream job. I was an actor and a producer, and I was working at BuzzFeed, which is like an online media company.
Okay.
And as an intern, you get an opportunity to make a video, and they have a philosophy of like, once something's on their platform, they don't take it down. And I was like, I can make the thing that is trendy, that everybody will like, that da 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 da. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, or I can make my truth. I'm sitting in the aftermath of this sexual assault, and like it's all I can think about. And so I
Mm-hmm.
went to my mentor, and I was like, I want to make this video about sexual assault. And she was like, I will help you. And I was like, okay. And I was like, it was one of the first big steps of like, I'm going to stand in my truth. And that mentor is a woman who took me to my first sacred temple. That is the work that I do today. She was like, we're gonna make a video with me first. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. She's like, I work at this other place. It's a pole dancing studio. I'm like, okay. So I get there, I set up all the cameras, do the things. And she was like, yeah, so you're actually not gonna make the video. You're gonna take class with me. And
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, okay. And it was this beautiful temple where it's like there's no mirrors, it's dark lighting, candle lit, and it's all about your sacred connection to yourself. And I
Mm.
sobbed the whole 2 hour class, sobbed. Because
Wow.
it was one of my first times of feeling like it's safe to feel.
Mm.
I'm allowed to be my full self here. There are other women supporting me and loving me and just being myself.
Mm.
Everyone's in this journey with themselves. And her and some of her other teachers at the end of the class, they did I kind of want to call it like a demonstration. They allowed me to witness them moving together. They
Okay.
put on a song and they all moved from their truth. And I saw women allow themselves to be big and to take up space and to be
Mm.
authentic. And it was like the women I met in the lobbies were the women I saw in that room. It was like, whoa, whoa. And it changed my everything. I was like, I have to work here. I have to be a part of this.
Yeah.
This is my temple of healing, and so that's what truly opened the gates for me to start this healing path. And it was there that I was on my journey of healing, and I was unlocking what my truth was.
Hmm.
And before I started connecting to my body and connecting to my pleasure, like I didn't know how to feel.
Hmm.
I really didn't understand sensation or
Okay.
touch.
Yeah.
Like everything had to be really, really hard in order for me to feel it. Um,
Hmm.
I didn't know what a light caress felt like. Like there was just no sensation. So it was a journey of coming back into my body and realizing like, oh, I'm queer. Didn't know
Mm.
that before.
Yeah.
Studied it. Oh, I connect with being a witch. Like I connect
Mm.
with talking to source in this way through nature, through the elements. Like these are pieces of myself that were always present, but
Hmm.
I was always shoving down. And I was
Hmm.
always like, this is not okay. This is not safe. You can't talk about that. You're not allowed to be that person. Um,
Hmm.
and so it was being on this path for quite a while where I was sitting in a medicine journey and spirit was like, yo, it's time. And I was
Hmm.
like, what? They're like, it's time for you to be a light on this path. It is time for you to step into your power and to teach from the place that you've known. And I was just like, oh, okay, it's time. It's time.
Hmm.
And so that's what started me being of service to women in this way.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing all of that. I had chills in so many places where it was just like, whoa, whoa, you could feel that activation energy coming through. And like, that's incredible. I just need to let that like sink in for a moment. Because,
Mhm.
yeah, wow. It's such a working with pleasure is such a, it's such big work. And that's something that I'm also trying to bring more into my life. And that's something that, yeah, I can resonate with, like not being able to feel that and not having that sensation. And you said feeling pleasure had to be really hard at first before the soft caress could come in. Yeah, that's something that I can totally resonate with. And it's, yeah, what a beautiful path to just see you go from, as you said, being so shut down and only working from here up to now seeing you where you can just tell pleasure is infused in all of your body. So I want to ask you, when you were working in this place where with the pole dancing, how long were you working there? And like, what was the kind of, what did it feel like connecting to that pleasure? Because I'm assuming that if you hadn't had that connection before, it might have been quite fearful to really like let yourself be big like the other women that you had seen. So what, I guess what I'm asking is like, what were the blocks or what were the things that you had to shed, the layers of yourself that you had to really go through to let yourself feel safe and let yourself be free and be big?
Yeah, beautiful question. Thank you. It was an initiation for sure
Mm-hmm.
of leaving everything I knew behind. And there was this beauty of like a bit of anonymity. Aside from the one woman who brought me there, like no one knew me there,
Mm-hmm.
and no one knew me there and it fostered such a space of like gentleness and ease of there's no right or wrong way to be in this journey. There's
Mm-hmm.
literally only what's true for you in this moment. So I used to dance with giant sweatshirts over my head, completely covered up. I
Mm-hmm.
would do the warm up under a blanket. Like there
Okay.
was deep parts of me, and it was quite the like juxtaposition. Part of me was
Mm.
like, I want to be this actor, but it was like my truth is like, don't see me.
Yeah.
Don't look at what's actually happening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Can't see what's going on here. And so there was these openings where it was like, can I allow myself to follow what feels true for me in this moment of like, hey, in this moment, what I need is a blanket over me.
Mm,
And that's okay. And can I let it be okay? Can I not force myself, not rush myself, not push myself to get anywhere,
mm,
but to just be? And like letting the being open the space for what am I available for in this moment. And
mhm,
there were so many sensory cues. Like I've never been to a pole dancing studio like this before, like which is why I created the space that I did, because it was
mm,
so much deeper than, hey, you're gonna learn some tricks to perform for other people's pleasure and for other people to look at you and so that you look cool.
mm,
There were no mirrors. It was all about how does this feel in your body? And so that was just my mantra for
mm,
years. How does this feel in my body? How
mm,
does this feel? Is there something that would make it feel even better? What is the most delicious way to be and explore this shape or this movement? And how can I linger and suck all of the marrow from a moment before I decide to allow myself to move somewhere else? You know, that was something that was super huge, because sometimes we're like, "Oh, I've had enough pleasure. Like, that's fine. I've had my sip and that
mhm,
should be good and I should be fine." But like to really like stay in it, like it feels good, stay there.
mhm,
Let yourself be there. Let yourself explore all the colors, the sensations, the textures, the smell of like what it is that feels good to you. And from
mhm,
this place of allowing non-judgment, like some of the first sounds that they brought in, and we talk about it as like sounds as opposed to like music, is what your head likes might not be what your body likes.
okay.
Like opening the space for everything to be available to you. So like one of the first like activators that my body super liked was Marilyn Manson. I had
Oh.
never listened to his music before. I was like very much like Todd. It was like I grew up, my father's a minister. It was very much like you
Mm,
shouldn't be with that. But
mhm.
like the vibration that that person carries and was singing from, like my body felt alive. Like even thinking of the songs right now, I'm like, yes. That just gave this permission
Yeah.
to allow yourself to explore. Like, what if you don't have any of the labels that anybody knows you as? Mother, daughter, sister, boss, whatever it is, but like
Mm,
you allow your erotic truth to come through. And your erotic truth
mm,
might be the thing that turns you on and lights you up and stirs your soul, might be different than the person who is sitting at dinner, you know,
mhm.
like
Yep.
let those both exist. Can they both exist? Can you allow them to have the freedom to both exist? And
Mhm.
allowing yourself to be in the pleasure of like, what actually do you like? Like, I realized for years I had been performing sex, like
Okay.
performing sex, like,
Yep.
well, I think it's supposed to be like this, and I'm supposed to look like this, and you're supposed to,
Mhm.
and I saw this in porn, and my friend said this, but like, there was never any conversation of like with myself of like, oh, does this feel good?
Yep.
Is this
Mhm.
what I want? Do I feel open to this person? Am I closer? I was literally performing it like someone gave me sides and was like, okay, you're gonna do this scene.
Okay.
And
Yep.
so to have the radical shift of, but like what actually feels good in my body, and
Mhm.
like learning and discovering where I'm actually attracted and where I'm actually feeling turned on and alive and safe enough to be vulnerable. And it was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, not only was I performing sex, I was not even honoring my own like attraction to women.
Mhm.
You know, like
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was so shut down. And like I grew up in a more or less religious family. Like my dad is a minister,
Mm.
and his spiritual father was a gay man. Like there was never any
Okay.
talk of like, hey, you can't be gay. There was never that conversation, but somewhere somehow I picked up like, hey, it's not safe and you
Mhm.
shouldn't do this and it's not okay. And
Mhm.
being able to shed those layers. It's like there's the layers of clothes, and then there's like the layers of trauma, the layers of story, the layers of not
Mhm.
truth. That is the
Mhm.
real work of
Yep.
shedding. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's the big work as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So in this journey that you were saying at this pole studio that you were starting to, relax into your body and starting to kind of connect with what your body wants compared to what your brain wants, how did you start implementing pleasure like in your outside life, outside of that kind of safety space of the studio, what were the things that you started to do to kind of think like, oh, I'm feeling safer in my body here. Maybe I can experience a little bit of pleasure outside of this beautiful cave that I've been in.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful way of inviting myself to explore what and who felt safe enough to share with. And
Mm,
so at that time, I had recently moved into a new apartment with new friends, and so they were holding space for like a newer version of me because they weren't people who I'd known since like elementary school, or like
okay.
they didn't have a firm blueprint of like this is who Brittany is.
Mm-hmm.
So it allowed me to start to explore certain things in my home. Like I'm wearing a silk robe right now. This was something that I discovered through pleasure of like, if I'm thinking about what feels good on my body?
Mm,
Literally physically fabrics, like what feels good
mm,
on my body? And so I started shopping differently as opposed to, oh, I think I need to look professional, so I need a button-down white shirt, even though I don't like them, even though my
mm,
boobs feel suffocated, even though I don't like them at all. Like,
mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of clothes that like I thought I should have that like really just didn't even feel good on my
Okay.
body. So like
Mm,
I one day like cleared out my closet. I like tried on everything and it was like, does it feel good? Does it not feel good? And allowing myself to literally like rehome the items that don't feel good and
yeah.
start to shop with my senses.
I
Start to shop with
love
like,
that.
oh, I love the texture of this, or oh, this color makes my body feel alive. I'm wearing a red sweatpants. Red is a color that
Mm,
just lights my soul up. Like my
okay.
soul is like, yes, let's and these aren't colors that I used to play with before. They were
Okay.
colors that I was afraid of, but like allowing myself of like, okay, what feels good? What feels nourishing to me, and how can I incorporate it in ways that feel safe? I would like to play
Mm-hmm.
with color in my wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, and starting even super small. Let's just start with the underwear drawer. Nobody has to see it, but
Yeah.
like, what are the ones that feel good to me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like this cotton brief. It feels so cozy. It makes me feel good. Like, that's
Yeah.
great. Oh, I actually don't like wearing underwear with this dress, and I'm not gonna. Like,
Mm.
let's play with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
starting to integrate it in small ways that were meaningful to me and still actually pretty close to my physical body,
Mm-hmm.
and then extending it out. One of the gifts of my mom being in her death process was that it was like time's up, girl,
Okay.
for the playing, the slowing, the if you wish for your mother to know who you truly are while she is still here, the time
Mm.
is now. And
Wow.
so I
Mm-hmm.
started having conversations with her about
Okay.
who I truly am.
Yeah.
And it was scary. And like, it was like, oh, we've lived our whole lives up until this point with me pretending this. And
Mm.
now you're in a space and I'm in a space where she was more open to hearing more truths. And
Okay.
I felt called to share them. So we would
Mm.
have conversations of like, I told her, I'm like, I'm going to this pole dancing studio and it's really helping me. And this is what I'm exploring. And like, I filmed a video of myself dancing. Do you want to see it? Do
Mm.
you want to witness me in this space that to me is myself allowing me to be the most authentic version of myself? This is
Yeah.
not maybe a version of me that you've seen before. Um, so starting
Wow.
to even have those conversations with those where it felt safe enough to begin to open those conversations and like honoring that that wasn't everyone. Like
Mm-hmm.
there were relationships in my life that definitely were shooketh loose.
Okay.
But like when I started honoring myself and I started leaning into like what actually feels good, it was like, oh wow, hanging out with this particular friend where we just talk about how much our lives suck, we beat up on each other and we make fun of other people, that
Mm.
actually isn't something that's pleasurable for me.
Yeah.
Wow. How
Mm.
do I navigate having a conversation with this person to create a different kind of relationship or let it go?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's big work. And that's so, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so true. You can kind of get stuck in that same rhythm, that same pattern. But if you're consciously trying to bring that pleasure into your life, it's like, oh, okay, hanging out with this person is obviously doing me a disservice more than bringing something beautiful into my
Mm,
space. So I think that's really important as well for people to know, especially women, because we feel like, as you said before, you were the people pleaser. Like we always
mm,
have to, please this person. And if this person's in a crisis, we have to sit and listen, even though
yeah.
we don't want to. They've called us over, but it's nice to give yourself that permission to say, like, this isn't serving me, and I don't, out of respect for myself, it has nothing to do with that person, but like out of respect for myself, if it's not going to bring me joy, happiness, pleasure, then I don't have to do it, and that's
Mm.
okay. Like that is okay to say those things for yourself. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. And also, sorry, just quickly, I wanted to say I'm really, like, I love how you said it was just starting in small doses, like changing your wardrobe to feel pleasurable, putting things on your skin, and like having that actual experience of like, does this feel nice on my body? I'm not just buying this piece of clothing because it has a fancy brand name, or because it's, a
Mm.
$500 dress that like everybody's coveting. Like, I'm literally just getting this piece of clothing because when I put it on my body, it feels freaking amazing. And I love that because it's such a small change, but clearly has such a big result. So it's like the smallest things that bring you pleasure can actually reverberate and just have like this big expansive result in your life. And I think that's excuse me, that's so amazing.
It is. It is. I had a mentor who taught me pleasure is available to us in every moment.
Mm,
It's are we attuning to it?
mm,
Can you attune to it? Like it's particularly in moments where it's just like maybe it's the mundane.
yeah.
You're sitting in your car and maybe there's traffic. Is there pleasure available to me? Yes. Where is the pleasure available for me? Is it the breeze coming in through the car window? Is it
Mm,
seeing like a mom and her daughter walking on the side and laughing and playing? Is it
mm,
my favorite 90s bop is blasting on the radio? Like, is
mm,
it like where is the pleasure for you in that moment? And bringing it into like, hey, the mundane, like there's ritual and ceremony in the mundane. Like,
yeah,
and how do you allow yourself to attune to pleasure if you're open to pleasure being your teacher in that moment? And the
totally.
more we invite pleasure into our lives, what I've experienced and what I've seen with my clients and my students is that like there's a true slowing down. Your
Yes.
whole physical being starts to slow down
Yep.
because you realize, oh my gosh, this whole little right here is a whole universe that's
Mm,
available to me. And I can be with it and I can explore it and find like, what are the
mhm.
parts that feel juicy and alive for me? And
Yeah.
then that invitation to slow down and be present, it just allows more pleasure to come in and more pleasure to come
Mm,
in. And you're like then it's like you're saying when you're like, oh, it's beaming off me. It's like, yes, I've allowed myself to keep allowing more pleasure in.
yeah. Oh, that's
Mm.
beautiful. And I love that there's pleasure in the mundane because, yeah, it is true. And I love how you bring up that you have to slow down. Like that's one of my um things that I'm working with, is trying to slow down everything. And it's so hard because I'm just so used to like go, go, go. I want that immediate result. I want this, I want that, I want that. And yeah, the slowing down piece, because when you slow down, you're able to open and you're able to receive, like you said, those little tiny things. If you're sitting in the car and you could either get angry about being in traffic and sitting on this tarmac road and all these people are around and it's hot and it's sweaty, or like you said, that little breeze could come through the window. And why can't you just take a second to say, oh, thank you. Right. Yeah. So that's so beautiful that yeah, that piece of slowing down, because everyone needs to slow down. And then the more you slow down, the more you can take in. And then, oh, it's just such a beautiful cycle. I'm loving this conversation because I'm like, it's exactly what I need to hear right now. It's
Yes.
perfect.
Woohoo!
um, so I want to ask you then, how did you, um, I mean, I guess there's not really like how do I say this? How did you know when you were ready to start sharing your gifts of pleasure with other women? Was there a like set point, or were people coming and being more attracted to you, or how did that happen where it was like you have so much pleasure in your body that it's just expanding out of you and you need to share more?
Yeah. So it was a few things. So one, it was my beingness. Like
Mm,
I was being who I be,
mm-hmm,
and people in the community, people like would seek my counsel
mm,
specifically around all things goddess, all things pleasure, all
mm,
things around the divine feminine of like, Britt, like, this is what I'm feeling about this. Like, do you have any advice about this? Do you have any advice? So it was just like, this was how it was living and breathing was happening.
mm,
And there was a part of me that was still like plugged into, the masculine, you gotta do things in this certain way kind of lifestyle. And the pandemic was a whole experience.
mm,
And one
mm-hmm.
of the gifts that I received from it was this huge slowdown of like, what if you put down what actually you don't love?
Okay.
What if you allowed yourself to put that down? And so at the time, like, I was on my pleasure journey, but I was also still in production. I was still a producer. I had a production company, all these things.
Mm,
And I had just moved with my wife to Portland. We took a 5 month honeymoon, cross country honeymoon during the first year of the pandemic. And
nice.
and we decided that we wanted to leave LA and Portland was the place for us. So we
Mm,
moved to a new city. I was like, okay, I'm gonna edit this thing and I'm gonna do this and da 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 da. And it was like everything aligned for me to do everything that I thought that I wanted to do, and I
mm,
wasn't happy. I wasn't
okay.
happy. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do
Mm.
this. And my amazing wife, she's such a powerhouse. She was like, okay, so like, what if you just don't do it? And I was like,
Wait a
what do
second.
you mean? Wait a second. What do you mean not do it? I was like, everyone in my family has a PhD. You just don't not do things. You got to do things.
Mm,
And she was like,
mm.
well, like, what if you just did what you actually wanted to do? And I was like I talk about all the time. Like what I was like, and I was like, well, I don't know how the goddessy, witchy, pole dancing, sensual movement, pleasure thing is a career path. Like I don't
Mm,
know how it is. And that's when I sat in medicine
mm,
and Spirit was like, it's time. Allow yourself
okay.
to do this. Allow yourself to do this. And as soon as I said yes, the
Mm,
teacher appeared. The teacher
wow.
appeared, an intuitive, witchy business coach who was like, let me teach you how to build your soul aligned business. And I was just like, okay, queen, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And
Mm,
it's been this beautiful initiation into what are the ways that feel the most alive, the most turned on, the most juicy ways that I wish to share my love. Like,
mm,
how I live is we've set up our home to be a temple. Like there's
mm,
an altar room, there are sheepskins everywhere. Like everything is cozy and tactile and it's a vibe. It's a
yeah.
vibe. It's a pleasure vibe. And I'm like, how do I wish to show up and serve women
Mm,
to teach them what I have learned about pleasure and allow them to be on this journey of exploration and for pleasure of pleasure with themselves.
mm.
And it was a little bit of the fuck around and find out kind of method where
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, do I want to teach online? Sometimes, not a lot. I love doing in-person things. I like things that are community based. And
Mm,
then really being with the women who were seeking my mentorship of like, what is it that you would like to learn and
yeah.
how do you want to learn it?
Okay.
And then feeling into my heart and spirit, I work a lot with Goddess Hathor of Egypt, of like, what are the codes? What's the transmission that you wish to be spoken into the space right now? So
Mm,
my way of working is very spirit led. It's very much like, this is the transmission that's come through, who's available and who's here for it. Like, these are the ways that feel delicious for me to present whatever is coming through. And I am open and available for anybody who wants to come through. And something that had been on my heart for years, literally
mhm.
since I started my pleasure journey, was I wanted to lead a retreat.
Okay.
And I was afraid to say it and all the
Yeah.
things. Like I like, just hiding like years and years. And the first time I was going to do it was the first weekend that the government was like, by the way, you guys have to stay in your houses. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. So like it canceled that
Mm,
retreat and I couldn't quite ever find my footing. And
mm,
just 2 weeks ago, I
mm-hmm.
just led my first international Goddess Brittney retreat, and it was
Yay!
incredible. It was so
Amazing.
good. It was so good. And it was just this ignition and this confirmation from source and from land and from the goddess of like, yes, this is a full body yes. This is
Mm,
how I want to serve. This feels like the most delicious way that I can share my love and what I've
mm,
learned with other women. And
mm-hmm.
I was like, I am here for it.
Wow, amazing. So I want to talk about this retreat then.
Ah,
One, where was it and how long was it?
mm-hmm,
And like what were the kind of practices that you did? Like say there was a woman that showed up, she'd been following you online, she's come to this space
mm-hmm.
and has no connection to pleasure, but is wanting to learn, but also has a lot of fear. Like what were kind of a bit of the stuff that you went through to get someone to open up and feel comfortable enough to get into their safety of taking in pleasure in little amounts or big amounts.
Yeah. So, one, I just want to start off with like, I felt truly honored
Mm,
for every woman who chose to say yes to this experience. Like,
mm-hmm,
I was at a crossroads moment of my life of like the life and death thing that led me to pleasure. And
okay.
one of the ways in which I wanted to serve people is like, how can I reach people before it's at that crossroads? You know, how can I
Mm-hmm,
reach someone before it is dire? Your house is on fire.
mm,
And we live in a culture where it's not always taught like, hey, maybe value yourself, or hey, it's okay to take time to work on yourself, or hey, you're allowed to give yourself this gift of space and time and luxury.
mm,
So there was that meeting of the minds of holding the space of I'm calling women who are ready to step into I deserve to receive,
mm.
and I'm going to step into a space where I may not be comfortable, but I know I deserve to receive and that there's something here for me.
Wow.
And it was a collaboration with Spirit because I hosted it in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and
Yes.
it was incredible because I, at the first, I was humaning, like, do I have it domestically? Do I have it internationally? This is what I really want to do, but is this what I can do?
Mm-hmm.
You're,
Yeah.
you're arguing with spirit, you're arguing with yourself. I don't know, I've never done it before. And I just got a download in a meditation that was like, it's sacred land with healing water. What
Mm.
you're facilitating is the space for rebirth. It's sacred land with healing water. And
Oh, I just got chills.
yeah, girl.
I just
Yeah,
got chills hearing you say
girl.
that. Sacred land with healing water. Whew.
Whoosh! And I made my fucking magical list. This is another practice that I teach women. I'm like, I made my magical list of like, what is everything that I want? What is everything that I want? There's no limits, there's no anything,
Mm,
everything that I want. And I was like, I want it to be the sacred land with healing water. The water doesn't have any chemicals, high
mm,
vibration food, sacred
mm,
stewardship. The land has invited us to be there, and I'm
mm.
working in harmony with the land.
Yeah.
I want to serve with my friends, and
Mm,
I want to serve with women who are ready to play full out. So I made my
mm.
magic list, and I was on another retreat, and a woman shared with me, she was like, I would love for you to facilitate at my retreat, da 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 da. And I was like, oh, tell me about it. She's like, well, it's sacred land with healing water. I'm like, say less, sis. Tell me about this place. Tell me about this place. And literally, our schedules did not align for me to serve with her. But she was like, you have to go to this place. It's
Mm,
sacred land with healing water. The stewards of the land are beautiful souls who are really just like holding you with their heart. And I was just
mm,
like, and when I talked to them from my first email, they were like, we sat with the grandfather tree on our land
mm.
and we would love to welcome you. Like even that level of vibration. We sat with
Whoa.
the trees on our land and asked if you could come. And I was like, integrity,
Yep.
intention. Like
Yep.
this is the
Yep.
frequency. And then the place was, it was, so much love, so much
Wow.
care. Your feet face east, so you can watch the sunrise from your bed.
Mm,
It's open air but beautiful screened. They don't have
mm.
everything's run on solar power, so there aren't lights in your room. There's like little candle lanterns, and every night someone comes in and like lights candles
Oh
in
my
your room so you
gosh.
come home to the room. When you're sleeping in bed,
Wow.
there's skylights where you can see the
Mm.
stars as you sleep.
Oh my
I love, right,
gosh.
girl,
What?
right? I was like, yes, yes, yes. I love bougie. I love luxury. I love nature being right there. Like that is my
Yeah.
truth. I was like, that's how I wish to serve women. And there's all sorts of ways to
Mm.
serve. Like some people love a rustic experience. I have sat in many a medicine where you're just like on the dirt floor. Like there's an experience for everyone.
Mm.
And what Goddess Brittney feels and the truths and the codes that I'm carrying is like,
Yeah.
yeah, but we don't have to be hard. You can sleep
Mm-hmm.
in the finest bed and still get the healing you came here for. Like we can
Mm-hmm.
take care of your avatar as your soul is undergoing this chrysalis experience and becoming the butterfly. Like let us take
Mm.
care of this. So they had beautiful outdoor showers. The
Oh.
water was from a spring on their land, so
Oh.
fresh water just with like UV and minerals.
Yeah.
And every day was three-course meals where they cooked high vibration vegan food. Like
Ah.
everything was handmade, everything. There was nothing that they bought from the crackers to the sea. Everything
Wow.
was
Oh,
handmade.
I
So
love that. Putting their heart's intention into all that they do.
all that
Wow.
they do. And so
Wow.
we held such sacred space to be on such beautiful, beautiful land. It was just
Yeah.
truly honoring and humbling. And then I got to co-facilitate with my friends, my sacred
Mm.
sisters. And so my wife, Lisette, is an
Mm.
emotional ninja. You got to meet
Yeah, I
her.
love Lisette. She's amazing.
Yes, she's amazing. She's amazing. And what her gift is she is masterful at
Okay.
helping people release baggage. She's masterful at
Mm.
seeing it, at finding like what is the root cause? Like where did
Okay.
the seed get planted? And once we remove something from the root, all
Mm.
of the branches and all the things go away. So she's masterful at creating massive transformation in short periods because you can actually physically let it go. And that was
Yeah.
something I'd never experienced before with talk therapy. It was like,
Mm.
we're talking about it. And it wasn't until I worked with her and I found this modality that I was like, wait, but the problem can actually just be gone. It can just
Mm.
be gone.
Okay.
That's the end. So we got to lead women through release work to start, just
Mm.
like getting rid of baggage, shedding massive layer sheddings. Then our dear
Mm.
sister Brianna, she is a shamanic guide and an integration coach and breathwork facilitator. So she led women through a ceremony into the somatics, getting things out of your body. And
Mm.
our dear sister Lynn, who actually married Lisette and I a few weeks ago, she's
Oh,
a ritual
you just got
priest.
married?
Oh yeah, we just
Oh,
got married.
oh my God, that's amazing. I
Yeah, we
thought
can
you
talk
were
about that.
already married.
Yeah, yes, we are already married,
Okay.
and we had a wedding ceremony because we
Okay.
eloped on Leap Day
Okay.
in 2020,
Okay.
right before Pandy hit. Spirit told us jump through this portal. So
Yeah.
then in 2024 on Leap Day, we had our ceremony with all the pomp and circumstance and all the things.
Oh, oh my gosh, I love that.
It
Oh,
was next level.
beautiful.
Yes, it was another pleasure initiation. We can talk about that some more. But yeah,
Mm.
Lynn led ritual and I led sensual movement. So
Mm.
I love an intimate space where we can go deep. And
Mm.
so the invitation that I offered to women was like, you can go as slow or as deep as you want to. We're here
Mm.
holding space for you to have your experience. And so there were
Mm.
women who had never worked with me who would self-define themselves as like, I've never done any woo. Like one of the women she shared, she's like, I've never even touched a tarot card and I'm here. And I was like, well, you're so new. And we
Yeah.
were there under the eclipse portal.
Oh,
And so
wow.
and we were at 98% totality. So it was
Wow.
a 5 day, 4 night experience that was one of the most magnificent transformational experiences that I've ever held space for and also witnessed and been a part.
Mm.
Like on
Mm-hmm.
all sides, the depths that we were able to go to, the land supporting us, like the
Mm.
food, the vibration, it was It was otherworldly, and it was so inspiring that women were like, I want to do this again. So we're going to be doing it again in October. So
Oh,
anyone,
nice.
anyone feels
Okay.
called, we're doing it in October.
Good to know. Good to
Yeah.
know. That sounds, yeah, that sounds incredible and so amazing and just wow. Like, oof. I could like chills again hearing you talk about it, like talking about the space and how that all came together and how you're saying, I'm doing this, I'm spirit led, and you're totally like spirit says something to you, and you're like, all right, cool. Spirit says something, and you just keep going with that. And then these beautiful things just happen. You're creating with your pleasure, you're creating with spirit. And yeah, the how that whole experience sounds is just it sounds like it's not even real. You know, it's too good to be true almost that like all of
Yeah.
that happened and I wasn't even there and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Whoa.
Yeah,
So,
like I feel like it's no accident
mm,
that pleasure is the teacher and like what
mhm,
gets to be created. Like when we think about ourselves as the vessel, of the
mm,
portal, of the
mm,
feminine, the one who is carrying the space between worlds, between the light and the physical.
yeah.
And the activation of that creation energy is in your sacral chakra. It's in sex, it's in pleasure.
Mm,
Like it's the creation of everything.
yeah.
Everything. And so when
Yeah.
I'm listening to Spirit and I'm like, Spirit's like, yo, I've been trying to remind you, pleasure. We create everything through pleasure. Like we are here for the pleasure. Like remember, any day you want to remember, we're here. But like following that spirit guy of like, yo, we're here for pleasure.
Yeah.
It is the portal that we have a reminder of every day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like creative energy comes from sexual energy. Creative energy
Mhm.
can be anything, as working with pleasure, as going deep into your body, as creating a course. I work in birth, like birth
Mhm.
energy is sexual energy, is creative energy. Like it's all of this. And when we don't tap into that, it
Mhm.
shows that frequency, that vibrancy that can come from people. If it's that creative sexual pleasure energy is not there, it's you don't even need to like ask a person if they're connected to their pleasure because you can just see it. And like I said at the beginning, I could feel from so far away, I could see from so far away the pleasure that you were emanating from your body, from your spirit, from your soul when we were at that gathering together. And it was like, yeah, there's a woman that just she is just haloed in this vibrancy.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's powerful, it's magnetic and it's powerful and it's beautiful, and like you can use that as transformation like you did in this beautiful retreat space that you had set for women. So I'm so grateful that you did that because it's like those women that were there, whether they had big transformative experiences, medium, small, like it doesn't matter. Just being there in the vibration, the energy that you held on the land, you know, eating the food, being in connection with that sacred water, those hosts that were hosting you as a group there, like that was just transformation in and of itself. So
Oh,
I'm so grateful that that
yeah.
you did that with you, with your wife, with the other women that were there co-facilitating, because that's what we need is women like you who are supporting, uplifting, guiding, creating spaces of comfort and safety for women to transform into their most powerful self, their most pleasurable self, their truest, highest honor of being. And yeah, that's why I wanted to speak to you so much because you're doing it. You are doing it in such a beautiful way, such a gracious way, such a spirit led way. And it's so important that women know about this. Women can hear this from you and they can see it from you.
Mhm.
You know, if they're watching this on the YouTube channel, they can see the glow that comes from you. And this is the work that you've done and the work that you're doing. And yeah, it's incredible. So I'm, ugh,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to hear all of that. It's just, it's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
honor. It's an honor to share. And every day, like I'm in awe and wonder. And it's one of the things that I always look for too is awe and wonder. But like my
Mm.
jaw's like when I speak at the retreat, we were like, ah, it was like everything on the dream, like blew the Pinterest board out of the water. And like weeks before, Lisette and I had gotten married, and we were like, whoa, we created this? Like this came from
Mm,
pleasure? Like we were like, wow, like
mm.
bravo, universe, bravo.
Mhm.
It was it was magnificent and
Mm,
magical and spiritual and ritual.
mm.
and we wore our finest things, and like,
Mm,
it was just so special and beautiful to allow other people to witness the pleasure that we've created with ourselves, and to be able to
mm,
share that pleasure with our loved ones and be held in that
mm-hmm.
space and that vibration by loved ones. It was
Yeah.
just outstanding.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, I just can't stop saying like that's incredible. That's so incredible, the space you held, and I'm so grateful to hear that you're doing it again in October. Like that
Yes.
was your dream, your secret dream at start, and now you're living it. You've done it, you've lived it, you've made it to that point, and it's just so beautiful, and goes to show that like whatever any person dreams, whatever any woman dreams in her mind and thinks like, oh, I would love to have this, I would love to have this, and then we get into the no, I can't like afford it, no, I couldn't do this. There's always an excuse or a reason that comes in, but it's
Yep.
like, no, like the dreams, the visions that you're having in your mind are coming to you because it's something that you can create. It's something that you can get to if you work hard enough, if you continue to listen to spirit, if you continue to listen to yourself, if you continue to keep pulling in that energy. Like nothing is too big for spirit to give you. Nothing is too out there. Nothing is too wild or crazy. Like if you believe it, it's possible. And
It's all possible.
yeah, and you've done that.
Yeah, I feel like what you're sharing, it's like when we tune in and allow ourselves to look at
Mm,
this
mm,
whole galaxy, this whole system, it's like there is nothing too big for spirit,
mm-hmm.
At some point, this was all a dream.
Yeah.
And now we're inside of bodies and
Mm,
experiencing the world. And like when you said even about like if you work hard, I feel like sometimes we think if I work hard means I have to like get a job or do these things. And to me, where I feel like the work hard is,
mm,
can you release the beliefs, the lies that you
mm,
were told about what's possible and what's
mm-hmm.
for?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
every single one of us is a divine child of God. Every single one of us has everything
Mm-hmm.
available to us. And the work is, can I let go of any lies, any
Mm-hmm.
untruth that have told me that it is not for me to live
Yeah.
in my truth? It is not for me to live in my pleasure. It is not for me for my
Yeah.
family to be prosperous. It's not for like that.
Yeah.
That's the lie, and that's the work.
Yeah,
Letting
absolutely.
go of
And yeah, and like I mean, maybe work hard wasn't the right word to
that.
say, but like to hold the commitment, hold the
Mm,
devotion. If you do that
yes.
and like, yeah,
The
keep
devotion, the
yeah,
faith.
keep that going, the faith, and keep that in your mind's eye, like anything's possible. Absolutely.
Yes,
Oh,
everything's possible. It's
yeah.
likely. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And spirit wants to give it to you. It's like spirit wants to give you these things. And like you said, we just get in our own way. So like get rid of the
Well, if
stuff.
I could just share a little personal story about even how you and I got connected.
Mm-hmm.
So, Set and I have been feeling into the frequency of bringing a soul into this world. A soul has made themselves very clear to us that we are his moms and he's asked to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I had fears and confusion and all sorts of things show up. And I literally, my prayer was like, Spirit, show me. And then you came into my path of like, hey, I'm hosting this class about spirit babies and connecting to your spirit babies. And it was just like an answered prayer right here, right now of like, I'm feeling confused and I'm not sure. And then spirit's like, don't you worry, babe. I got the woman to remind you of the truth and to
Mm-hmm.
share with you what you might have forgotten,
Mm-hmm.
what is available for you. And I've had so many miraculous experiences
Mm-hmm.
with our son. Like,
Oh, I love
he's
that.
even gotten here. Like, it's just
Mm.
like,
Oh, I love
wow,
that.
wow. And like, that's a space you facilitated. That was a prayer of just like, if it's for me, I'm going to have the faith that everything that I need is going to show up on the path. And then I
Yeah.
met you, you
Wow.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's just spirit bringing those connections. Do, do, do. Spirit knows how to work around and get us to where we need to go. It's just doing
Yes.
magic.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
Oh, I love that. Um, Before we end up or
Yeah.
end this session, do you mind talking about your marriage ceremony? because it
Yeah.
sounds like the power, the energy that's in there and going into that portal once again. I'm like, okay, I need to hear this because something just like I know there's
Oh,
something in there for me. So
100%, 100%. So it was quite the initiation because we had eloped and we had this beautiful ceremony. Psilocybin was our facilitator that day.
okay.
And psilocybin was like, yo, it's a portal jump through. We got married on our balcony. It was beautiful. There was just
Mm,
us and our best friend. And that was beautiful. And then it was
mm,
like, okay, well, leap year only happens every 4 years. Like, what if we have this wedding ceremony?
mm,
And we were just like living our lives. And then 1 year comes to the wedding and we're like, are we actually doing this? We're doing this. We're doing this.
mm,
And so we had to get in alignment,
mm,
trust and believe, because at the time we did not have the financial resources. We did not know how it was all going to come together. And
mm.
we were like, what is it that we want? What
Yep.
would be fun? What feels like the most delicious and fun thing that we want? And Spirit was like, here, here,
Mm,
here. We found a magical venue through a friend. I was literally
mm.
hanging out in her pool, stressed out a little because another friend, she was like, I'm 100K into my wedding, and that was not the plan. And I was like, that is not the vibe I want.
Yeah.
That's not the vibe I want. And our other friend was like, I got married so affordably. It was like $10,000. And we're like, in LA? Like, you got married outside of Malibu. How is this possible? She's like, it's amazing. Da, 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 da. We
Mm,
get to this venue.
mm,
It's breathtaking. First of all, there's a magic store
mm.
on site. So a metaphysical store with crystals and books and statues and a deck that I had been looking for. Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, his book is also a card deck. And I had
No
seen
way.
exactly. Yes. I had seen it years before in someone's bathroom, had
Yeah.
never seen it again, looked for Amazon. Like, when
Yeah.
you're like, it has to be somewhere. Could
Uh,
not find it. I walk into this bookstore and I see that card deck and I'm like, this is the place. This is the place. Then we get on the phone with the people with the venue, and they were like, it's owned by a witch who wanted to teach people about the healing properties of food and
Mm,
how food can nourish and heal your body. We're like, yes, this is in alignment.
mm.
And then they were very accommodating with all that we wanted to do. We were like, we want to get married in a circle. We're like, done. We're like, can our dogs be in the wedding? They're like, done. We're like, can we bring a stripper pole? Because that's how we met. Done.
Oh my God. I
That night
love
met pole
it.
dancing. That night met pole dancing. So, like, I met her in that sacred temple.
Oh,
But so we had this ceremony and we got really clear about what we most wanted. And we wanted those who were witnessing us to be able to hold the vibration of our most expansive love.
mm,
Uh, our us today, but also us into the future and into the eons. And
mm.
everything I like decided I was like, my intention is for this to be easy and fun and full of joy. And the whole
Mm,
process was that way. The
mm.
wedding planner that came with the venue that was perfectly priced in our budget, she planned the whole thing. I
Wow.
went to the wedding dress store. First dress I tried on, that was the dress in the budget. All the things like we were getting magic numbers for like Lisette's suit. Her 3-piece custom suit was 777. Like
Oh,
so like come through. Let me show you what you're working with. Like
yeah.
everything was coming together, and two of our friends who are musicians, like very talented musicians. One of them, she like has commercials in the Super Bowl and on Queer Eye.
Mm.
They sang "I Put a Spell on You" as we walked down the aisle.
No
Love
way.
it. And we got to like walk in a circle. We did like
Oh,
a spell where we opened a portal around everyone and like stood into this circle. And
mm,
Lynn, she's the ritual priestess. We both have deep codes from Egypt. So
mm.
she did an invocation of the goddesses of Egypt, inviting them all in and opened a portal into the divine. And like, I just felt the goddesses surround us. And like, she tied us in the knot of Osset, and we did vows in this way and like said poems to each other. And
Oh,
we had a dear sister who's a poet. She wrote us a poem
mm,
about us, and it was called Raising the Bar, and about how our
mm.
love raises the bar and reminds everyone that whatever they
Wow.
dream is possible. It was so good.
Okay.
And our first dance was a pole dance.
I love that. And I just have to say, as you were speaking, like right when you started speaking about saying you were opening the portal and walking around the
Yeah.
circle and all that information all around me was wind blowing, leaves were coming. I could feel this energy. And I was like, yeah, that portal, I could feel
That
it.
portal,
I
that
literally felt
portal.
it. And then right when you said my friend opened this poem for us, then it all just calmed down. Like that's how
Yeah.
big your energy is. I could literally feel that energy months later as you're bringing it back up. And I was just like full of chills that whole time. That's absolutely incredible. Oh my gosh.
It was incredible. It was a very powerful ceremony to be a part of, and as someone who
Yeah.
loves ritual and ceremony, um, we really allowed ourselves to make it be
Mm,
what we most wanted it to be. So
mm-hmm.
I, from other friends that I've experienced go through this portal, it's very easy to get caught up in like the Bride magazine version of like, I need this, and my parents said this, and da 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 da. And we
Mm,
very much held the line of like, what is our truth? And we're going to build an experience that is about our love
yeah.
and invite those who we want to hold the frequency of that
Yep.
into the space. And so, like, we had an altar. We had a
Mm.
guest book that was a crystal where people could anoint their intentions into it. Like,
Oh,
we had a
wow.
whole week of ritual leading
Oof.
up to ceremonies leading up to the grand day. But like
Mm,
being able to truly trust ourselves and allow pleasure to be our guides, and like
mm-hmm.
everyone had a great time. Everyone
Yeah.
had so much fun who was there. And
Yeah.
we got to have something that was so authentic to us, that
Yeah.
was so meaningful to us, and to be in such a power, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, you could feel the vortex of the energy, to allow
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to stand in that power, to stand in
Yeah.
that peace, to stand in that love
Yeah.
was it was
Oh,
everything.
yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's how like wedding ceremony, sacred union ceremonies are meant to be, holding that big power, feeling that energy come through, joining the two of you in this way, not just joining by saying these vows. Like, yes, you may have said vows, but it's like it's different. Like bringing the energetic aspect into it, bringing you in there, bringing Lisette in there, really having it be like, this is our day, this is what we want, this is us authentically and fully in our love is, oh yeah,
It was
that's
powerful.
powerful. Yeah,
It was
so
powerful.
powerful.
Yeah, we
Wow.
joined our lineages together, and that was something that I hadn't been aware
Mm,
of before. But we had
mm,
two wedding ceremonies, and we're both spiritual in from a Hawaiian lineage of Huna,
okay.
and our school teaches us from the lineage of 126 unbroken generation lineage of working with
Wow.
the elements from Hawaii and then also
Mm,
from Egypt. And we had a
mm,
braiding of those lineages in that
oh,
ceremony. And I felt the power, and it was just like,
mm,
wow. Like I just had a whole new understanding of what this ritual ceremony is in a way that
mm-hmm,
I hadn't experienced before. And I felt
mm-hmm.
so grateful to experience it. And I'm excited for everyone who wishes to have an experience of that kind of ceremony
Yeah.
that they do so.
Yeah. Oh,
hmm
wow, I don't think I've ever had so many chills speaking with somebody than I have in this conversation of just like feeling that energy get lit up and like, oh, it's incredible. Oh,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's I can't stop saying incredible because that's what it is. Like the power that you bring to yourself, to your life, to your wife, to the work you do is just so you can feel it and you really do move that energy because you are working with spirit. Spirit is working directly through you, creating everything that it is that you want. And it's so beautiful to witness and to just sit here and see it and say, wow. Wow, you're holding that power and it's so beautiful to see. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so grateful for this whole conversation and just to have met you when we did meet those few months ago. Like again, that was just a divine connection that spirit had brought us together and yeah, I'm so excited to see what more it is that I can glean and learn from you.
Absolutely. It's talking about this
Mm.
is just, I just feel so lit. Like, yes, I feel so lit up to be able to share. And
Mm,
I definitely want to impart with everyone who's listening, like everything that I'm sharing about, we all have access to.
mhm.
I am special and I'm also not special. We
Yeah.
all have access to this wisdom, to these codes. It's just allowing ourselves to be in that space,
Mm,
allowing ourselves to explore what our connection to our pleasure is and what it teaches us and what it allows us to bring forth in our lives. And so
mm,
I'm here as a mentor and a guide if you would like support on the path. And also trust yourself, trust your pussy. Like
yeah.
everything is available to us at every moment. It's just
Yeah.
what are we choosing into?
Oh, that's the thing. We didn't talk about the pussy.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to get you on in another chance, another
Yes.
episode, and it can just all be devoted to pleasure and the pussy.
Great. Yes, we'll continue.
Yeah,
Yes. The conversation,
perfect.
it's so big.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to come back. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So before I ask you where women can find you to work with you, is there anything else regarding pleasure and the topic that we just spoke about that you would like to share for these women one last time?
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like my last sentiment feels like the allness of it. If this is available to each of us in every moment,
Mm,
just allowing yourself to know that
mm,
can receive it, you can have it. It is for you. It
mm,
is safe for you to be in your pleasure. It is safe for you to be in
mm-hmm.
your joy. Like allowing
Yeah.
yourself to connect with you.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Goddess Brittney. Thank you so much. And for all of the women that have felt all of these multiple chills like I have and are just connecting into your pleasure, can feel it through whatever platform they're listening to, how can women reach out to you, possibly go to your retreat in October? How can they do this?
Absolutely. It's my honor to connect with people. I community is one of my highest values. So
Mm,
I'm here for coming to the DMs, for sending an email, for like, this is what I got from this, or do you have more thoughts on this? Like, hit me up.
mm,
So my website and my Instagram is Goddess Brittney King, and it's Brittney, is how you spell Brittany. And that is where information about my retreat is hosted. I also have a free 30-minute like one-on-one session. So if you want to like talk pleasure and have a little pleasure activation session, you
mm,
can book that. And yeah, I hang out on Instagram. So that's where I have reels and like lives, and I love talking to people. So it would be my
mm.
honor. You're not bothering me.
Mm.
It would be my honor to talk to you guys.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, this was just a beautiful or transmission, pardon, in and of itself. And I'm sure if women go to your page, they're just going to see more and more and more. And again, thank you so much, Goddess Brittney. I'm so grateful to have been in your energy for this time and this space.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you so much, women, for listening to this latest episode of the Free Birthing in Color movement. If you want to continue supporting this movement and all that comes with it, please give a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Like the videos on YouTube and share this episode with some of your friends. As reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and the content that I'm creating, it only takes 2 minutes to show your support through a 5-star rating, a small written review, and a share. If you want to give a monetary donation to help with the back end costs of keeping everything that is happening within this movement going, you can send your donations through PayPal via the link in the show notes. And again, as reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and creating, I'm so grateful when those donations come through. I have many other avenues of work that I've created, such as Portals of Wisdom, which are educational guidebooks for women to reclaim and remember their personal bodily sovereignty. I have one-to-one activation sessions and one-to-one or group mentorship opportunities, as well as an amazing course called Cyclical Woman that is a deep dive into the natural cycles of Mother Earth and connecting into your internal rhythms in relation to where Mother Earth is at any given moment. And lastly, I want to mention again the Free Birthing in Color community. It is open for enrollment, so please, if you want to create a deeper sense of connection to myself and other women navigating the same phase of life that you're in, please, please, please come and join us, and let's create something truly beautiful in there. All information can be found within the show notes below, or you can go to primalwomanportal.com and you'll find everything that you need. I'll see you in the next episode.